The ancient African spirituality existed long before organized religion took shape, a time that predates the era when the cross was etched deeply into the fabric of our collective consciousness. This was a period that arrived well ahead of the crescent moon rising to grace the heavens with its gentle curve. It existed even before the sacred scriptures began their resonant chants within the walls of stone temples or the echoing chambers of cold, towering cathedrals. In those early days, the heart of spiritual experience was found in the rhythmic beat of the drum and the flickering warm embrace of the fire. These elemental forces, the drum's pulse and the fire's glow, served as conduits to the divine, central to ceremony, storytelling, and communal connection. This spirituality was alive in the vibrant dance around flames that reached upward, in the communal gatherings where rhythm and movement opened pathways to ancestral wisdom. It was a faith born directly from the earth, from nature, from human connection, thriving in the raw, unadorned elements, long before symbols and dogmas etched into stone would come to mark the spiritual landscape. There was the Nile, mighty and eternal, carving its path through the heart of the continent, and with it flowed spirit, a presence as old and unyielding as the land itself. Long before the word God echoed from foreign mouths or was woven into the fabric of distant cultures, Africa tuned itself to the quiet but powerful pulse of the earth beneath its feet. It did not bow down in worship as an act of submission. Instead, it chose to remember, to honor, to acknowledge the sacredness of life through celebration. Where others might have knelt in humility or fear, it rose and danced in joyous communion with existence. The stars, far from being cold, impersonal points of light scattered across the night sky, were alive with meaning. Intangible messages sent from the cosmos, guiding, speaking in silence to those who could listen. The rivers, too, were not merely bodies of flowing water. They held stories, carried voices of ancestors, and were threads of life woven into the vast tapestry of the landscape, reflecting not only the land's physical essence, but its soul. Not a mere object or a fleeting discovery you stumble upon by chance, but something far more powerful and profound. Something that must be stirred deeply within, awakened from a long slumber that has been forced upon it for generations. Africa is not just the place where humanity began, the cradle from which we all owe our existence. It is so much more than that. It is the very source, the core, the eternal flame at the heart of identity, strength, and resilience. It is the place where the soul soars, where history's whispers continue to reverberate, calling those who listen to remember who they truly are. UL first opened its eyes and looked upon the world around with wonder and curiosity. Long before the rigid structures of doctrine were ever conceived, before the holy texts and prayer books were written and revered, there was something more primal and profound, a dance. A dance that flowed with the rhythm of the heartbeat, the pulse of the earth itself. The earliest humans did not seek salvation or plead for forgiveness, for their existence was deeply intertwined with the harmony of life. They moved in step with nature, understanding that the world was not a place divided into good and evil, but a vast, interconnected web where every element had its role and purpose. The lion stalking through the tall grasses was not evil. It was a majestic part of the ecological web. The storm that shook the skies and rattled the trees was not a curse, but a necessary force of renewal and balance. All things, seen and unseen, fragile and fierce, were woven together to form a unified whole. In this unity, spirit breathed freely, unbound by fear or judgment, existing as a breath was more than just the act of inhaling and exhaling. It was the essence of life itself. Spirit was the very moment of birth, the spark that ignited existence, the invisible thread that connected the deep roots of the earth to the vast expanse of the sky. This spirit was the unbroken bond tying everything together in a continuous cycle of life and energy. In every village, no matter how small or remote, and in every gathering where people came together, spirit was recognized and honored. It was the force that brought meaning to the fire burning in the center of the circle, a flame that was not just for warmth or light, but was sacred, carrying the prayers and hopes of all who circled around it. The meal shared among the community was also holy, each bite a reminder of the gifts provided by the land and the ancestors. Every greeting exchanged, every new morning that dawned, and even the moments of silence held deep significance. Each was a sacred part of the shared experience. The elders, revered and respected, were living libraries, walking repositories of wisdom and knowledge passed down through countless generations. Their presence was a bridge to the past, and their teachings were the foundation upon which the community stood. They embodied the spirit, carrying stories, lessons, and traditions that kept the heart and soul of the people alive. Children were perceived as souls in transition, selecting their next journey through life with intention and purpose. Dreams did not occur by chance or happenstance. Instead, they were understood as meaningful visits from other realms, messages sent through the veil of sleep. Death was never viewed as an absolute end, but rather a passage, a sacred return to the origin of life itself. Across the vast landscapes that stretched from the sweeping deserts and fertile sands of Nubia all the way to the vibrant, bustling shores of Senegal, the spiritual essence was believed to flow freely and powerfully, much like the wind that weaves softly yet persistently through tall, whispering reeds. Within the ancient land known as Kemet, the name given by its own people before it was renamed Egypt by outsiders, there was a profound depth of wisdom and insight that formed the foundation of their understanding of the world. This knowledge was deeply intertwined with their beliefs about the spirit, life cycles, and the natural and supernatural forces governing existence. Regarded as something profoundly sacred, this wisdom was never hoarded or jealously guarded. Instead, it was brought to light, made visible and accessible, shining like a beacon to those who sought it. Within these circles, there were no priests who commodified salvation or exploited faith for personal gain. Instead, the community comprised initiates deeply committed to the pursuit of mastering themselves, their minds, spirits, and bodies through disciplined study and transformative practice. The mystery schools served purposes far beyond mere education. They were rigorous training grounds for living in alignment with the divine, preparing students to embody higher states of consciousness and spiritual awareness. When students delved into the study of astronomy, their aim was not simply to chart maps of the heavens or navigate physical space. Rather, they sought to understand the cosmos as a reflection of universal principles, connecting celestial patterns to the rhythms within themselves and the divine order that governs all existence. But for harmony, medicine was practiced not merely as a tool to fix the body, but as a sacred art designed to restore the body's natural connection with the spirit, recognizing that health was the seamless integration of physical well-being and spiritual balance. Geometry was not just a mathematical discipline, but a language that reflected and respected the precise order of the cosmos itself, capturing the intricate patterns that govern the universe and echoing the perfection found in nature's design. At the very heart of all existence, there stood Maat, the profound principle embodying the delicate equilibrium between chaos and creation, a dynamic interplay that gave rise to life and shaped reality. This essence of Mayat was the foundation upon which truth, justice, reciprocity, and harmony rested. It was so fundamental that even the gods themselves were bound by the laws of Mayat, acknowledging its supreme authority over all beings and phenomena, weaving together the threads that held the cosmos intact. At one time, what we now refer to as the pinnacle of human scientific understanding was rooted in a very different conception, one deeply intertwined with the spiritual and the mystical. In Africa, the spirit was never limited or trapped within rigid boundaries. Rather, it flowed freely and abundantly, manifesting itself in numerous diverse and vibrant forms. It emerged through a wide array of identities: Ra, Olodumare, Name, Ama, Nzambi, each a distinctive name representing a unique aspect of the divine, yet none existing in opposition or competition with the others. These names were not symbols of rivalry, nor did they embody jealousy or anger. Instead, each was like a different face gazing from a single eternal flame, illuminating different shades of the same unifying essence. Within this rich tapestry of spiritual understanding, the Yoruba people recognized Oru, an embodiment that spoke to their connection with the cosmic spirit, a recognition that these many divine names were simply reflections of one profound abiding flame that united all things in its warmth and light. Ni, heaven, and Iyai, earth, as lovers dancing in cycles, their movements intertwined in an eternal embrace that marked the passage of time and the rhythm of life itself. The Dogon people of Mali, with their profound connection to the cosmos, charted the stars and celestial bodies that remained invisible and unknown to Western astronomers for countless centuries. Their knowledge of the heavens was not mere observation. It was a living tradition of stories, symbols, and sacred mysteries passed down through generations. Meanwhile, the San people, the ancient inhabitants of southern Africa, often referred to as the Bushmen or Sand People, engaged deeply with the spiritual realm through elaborate trances and the transformative dance of fire, transcending ordinary consciousness to communicate with the unseen forces around them. For these cultures, water was never simply an element to be cataloged or used. It was a conscious being, alive and vibrant, possessing its own spirit and will. Fire itself was more than a tool for warmth or cooking. It was a powerful entity, a force of transformation and connection to the divine. The wind carried its own animating essence, breathing life into the world and whispering secrets from distant places. These entities were not merely abstract forces or lifeless phenomena. They were fully realized presences, integral parts of a living cosmos that breathed and pulsed with meaning beyond the grasp of conventional Western understanding. And metaphors, in their deepest essence, were not just mere figures of speech. They served as a kind of familial bond, a connection that tied people together like members of a close family. No African path, no matter how unique or solitary it appeared from the outside, ever held absolute truth on its own, because each and every path inevitably led inward, toward the core of one's being. The journey wasn't about seeking external salvation or rescue. It was fundamentally about calling back and awakening something within, a process of profound remembrance rather than acquisition. Spirit was not a gift handed down by some external force or entity waiting to be received. Rather, spirit was something that emerged and blossomed from deep inside oneself. Spirit was alive and dynamic, like a dance that flows through your body and soul, an ever-changing, vibrant movement. It was also like a garden, something that you nurtured, cultivated, and cared for with patience and love. Spirit was the very breath you took, intimate, essential, and life-giving. Spirit was the essence of a woman, strong, nurturing, and enduring, embodying the cycles of growth, resilience, and renewal. And then, they decided to rename us entirely. They erased the names that connected us to our deep-rooted heritage and replaced the figures we revered, our ancestors, with saints from their own traditions. The steady, vibrant rhythm that once pulsed through our communities, guiding our ceremonies and daily lives, was supplanted by rigid ritual imposed from outside. They dismissed the temples we built on the earth, sacred spaces carved out by our hands and hearts, branding them as primitive or uncivilized. Our elders, the keepers of wisdom and history, were branded as witches, accused of practices that were misunderstood and maligned. The sacred drums that once called spirits and ancestors to gather were silenced, transformed into forbidden instruments, banned from the very ceremonies they once led. Our profound connection to the spirit world, once nurtured through these sounds and rituals, was labeled mere superstition, something to be feared or ridiculed rather than honored. Through these acts, by dismantling everything that gave us identity and meaning, they sought to strip away the very essence of who we were. It transformed into Howdu, a presence that softly murmured through the melodies carried by the winds as they swept across the fields. A seclusive dancer moving gracefully beneath the gentle glow of the moonlight. There were altars carefully concealed beneath beds, hidden from the eyes of the world, and sigils intricately carved into the fertile earth, their meanings known only to those who dared to believe. Names were whispered only in the realm of dreams, spoken in hushed tones when the veil between worlds was thin. The spirit withdrew from the view of the ordinary, slipping beneath the surface, choosing to live quietly underground, in shadow and silence, waiting patiently through the passing of countless seasons. But now the quiet is breaking, the stillness is ending, and this is the moment to remember. We gather our strength, we lift our voices, and we speak the names aloud once more. What were once strictly forbidden and shrouded in mystery, we now honor with reverence by pouring libations to those long forgotten by the passage of time. We gather humbly at the feet of our elders, seeking their wisdom and stories passed down through generations. We deliberately return to our roots, not out of a desire to flee from what lies ahead or to shun progress, but rather to gain a deeper understanding of the future that still awaits us. This return is not an act of blind worship of the past, but a conscious effort to awaken and enliven the present moment with the richness of ancestral knowledge. The ancestors, patient and enduring, have been waiting quietly for so long, their voices ready and attentive, yearning for us to listen and truly hear what they have to share. NG, they are watching. Africa is not summoning you merely to confront history or to revisit the past in a straightforward, linear way. Instead, Africa calls you deeply, profoundly to turn inward and rediscover your own essence, your true self. This call is not about external events alone. It transcends the surface stories of conquest, the rise and fall of kingdoms, the spread and evolution of religion throughout the continent. These are chapters in a much larger and more enduring narrative. Before any of those historical markers existed, long before any empire was built or faith practiced, there was spirit, an innate living force that has coursed through generations and still pulses within you today. It is this spirit, unbroken and vibrant, that Africa invites you to connect with now. This connection is not an endpoint. a final destination where a story concludes. Rather, it is a fresh awakening, a moment of arrival that feels like a beginning yet to be fully embraced and remembered. So when you respond to Africa's call, you do not come to close a chapter, but to open a door, back to the origins that nourish your soul, back to the sacred wellspring of your identity and belonging, but start again back to the source that nourish your identity and belonging. The same, the soul of Africa was never genuinely lost or vanished. Instead, it was merely hidden, concealed beneath layers upon layers of centuries-old dust, heavy shadows of shame, and a profound, lingering silence that seemed to stretch endlessly. However, the spirit that defines this soul is indestructible. It does not fade away or perish. It does not wither in the face of hardship or oppression. Rather, it lies dormant, patiently waiting for the moment when the rhythmic beating of the drums will awaken it once more, when the flames of ancient fires are rekindled under the open sky, inviting warmth and light to dance in their glow. It waits for the time when voices long silenced will rise together, powerful and harmonious, merging with the very heartbeat of the earth itself. When you close your eyes, allowing yourself to surrender to that deep, magnetic pull, you can almost feel it stirring. The invisible thread connecting you to a past that is alive and breathing, calling you to remember, to honor, and to join in the timeless song that no storm can silence. It is the lingering echo of your true self, a gentle yet persistent reminder of your original spirit and essence. This spirit is making its way back to you, not through grand, elaborate temples or loud, boastful declarations meant to catch the world's attention, but rather through the subtle, tender moments of awakening that arise within. It surfaces in the unexpected tears that stream down your face without any clear cause or explanation. Tears that seem to come from a place deeper than logic or reason. It appears in the dreams you have, dreams that communicate in languages you once knew but have long since forgotten, speaking in symbols and images that stir your soul in ways you cannot fully understand. This return is quiet, intimate, and deeply personal, unfolding in the hidden corners of your heart and mind, where the true essence of who you are patiently waits to be rediscovered. The steady cadence of your heartbeat resonates with a rhythm that predates the very fabric of time itself, a timeless pulse that connects you to something far greater and older than anything you can see or touch. In moments when you pause and allow yourself to be fully present, when you stop rushing and stand still, you can truly listen to the subtle whispers carried by the wind. The wind, gentle yet persistent, continues to carry messages, echoes from the past, voices of those who came before you, the ancestors who once walked this earth with purpose and spirit. They have not vanished. Instead, they gather still, unseen but ever present, surrounding you with their wisdom and love. Beneath your feet, the earth holds a deep memory, a vast and unbroken record, where the very soil and stone remember your name, your existence, and your significance. You are not wandering aimlessly through this world by mere chance or accident. There is a profound call, a summons, unlike any other, that reaches into your soul. You have been called, invited into a greater story, a sacred mission that stretches beyond the visible horizon. This call urges you to carry the light, a radiant flame that has never been extinguished by darkness or despair. It is a light that has endured countless trials and hardships, remaining bright and true, waiting to be held and shared once again. Hidden deep within your soul The unmistakable and powerful flame of Africa continues to burn with an intensity that is both sacred and defiant, an eternal light that has never ceased to glow. This is not merely a revival or a simple reawakening of something lost. No, this is a full resurrection, a rising from the depths of silence into radiant existence. Therefore, do not approach this moment with fear or hesitation. Instead, walk forward with the utmost reverence and honor in your heart. Let every breath you take become a deliberate and meaningful offering to that enduring spirit within. Allow each step you take to serve as a wholehearted return to the source, a journey back home to the spirit that once graced the heavens and danced freely among the stars, a spirit alive and flourishing now as ever before. A powerful energy flows through you, an undeniable force that connects you to something far greater than yourself. When you act with sincerity, when your movements are aligned with your deepest truths, and when every word you speak carries clear intention and meaning, the entire universe seems to pause, to pay attention, and to ingrain that moment into its vast memory. If what you've just heard or felt has awakened a quiet flame within your heart, if your inner spirit resonates with this message and recalls a forgotten wisdom, then do not allow these words to slip away into silence or be lost to time. Instead, hold on to this feeling, nurture it, and let it grow. A simple act like giving this video a like is a way of affirming that connection. Sharing it with someone else who might benefit, someone who perhaps is seeking guidance or a spark of inspiration, can be an incredible gift, one that keeps the message alive, spreading its truth and power to the corners where it needs to reach. Don't underestimate the ripple effect of a single act of sharing. It can travel farther than you imagine, touching lives and awakening hearts, just as it did yours. Take a moment to really see it, to truly witness the stories and histories that have long been buried or overlooked. And then subscribe to our channel or platform to support our mission. By doing so, you'll be playing a vital role in helping us uncover and bring to light many more of Africa's hidden histories. Those rich, complex narratives that have too often been forgotten or ignored in mainstream accounts. This journey isn't just about the past, it's about reclaiming knowledge and celebrating the depth and diversity of African heritage. This is the authentic African history, the real stories behind the continent's peoples and cultures. And we are just at the very beginning of this exciting and important adventure. Join us as we continue to explore, discover, and share the untold chapters of Africa's vibrant past.